everyone, to People on Dating. I'm your host, Will Morales. And for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, this podcast is about the ups and downs of dating and how to navigate through it. Today, my guest is Lisa Shield. Lisa is a love, dating, and relationship coach with over 2 decades of experience. She has a master's degree in spiritual psychology, is certified through the Coaches Training Institute, and has been featured in Huffington Post, Buzzfeed, LA Times, and Cosmopolitan. Lisa has been with the Guardian of her Soul for over 20 years, and through her revolutionary approach has taught powerful, successful women all over the world how to take what she calls the feminine lead to get emotionally naked and find the soulmate of their wildest dreams. Well, Lisa, thank you again for coming back onto People on Dating. This is part two. I mean, we had such a great conversation the first time, and we left off at both sexes are setting the bar high. Online dating is still alive and well, and one of the main things for both sexes, I would say, is being approachable. Now, the main thing is for women, right? Taking a feminine lead can help you attract the right man. So what are some of the ways that a woman can be more feminine and, or like you said, taking that feminine lead to attract that right man? You know, you got the boss babe, I could take care of myself, I don't need a man type of woman. How do we break through that shell and say, hey, here's a guy who's willing to help and be a part of your team and lead or whatever, let's make this work.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me back on, William. And this is something that really is near and dear to my heart, this idea of taking the feminine lead. Right. I eschew so many of the stereotypes in my coaching that and the myths that other coaches perpetuate. I really trust my gut when I hear a lot of the dating advice out there, and some of it is just so off point. I did a talk to one of my women's groups last night. I talked about how there are so many myths and lies being perpetuated, especially in the dating world, about what we can and can't do and how we should behave. And many people just learn these things from another coach, and then they pass it down and they pass it down and they believe it's true. So for me, when I hear coaches talking about leaning back and letting men chase you, as a modern woman, if a coach told me that, I would get up and walk out, or I would end the call or the Zoom call right then and there, because I am not going to lean back. And I'm not a target. I'm not going to sit there while men chase me. Now, maybe there are some elements of that in my work as well, but just the languaging itself is such a turnoff to me. Mm-hmm. As a strong, independent, modern woman, in the year 2023, that's the kind of advice they would have given to someone like my grandmother. So I choose to think of, to empower the women that I work with. I choose to meet them where they are. And I give them a kind of language and an approach with men that they're not going to find anywhere else. And I call this taking the feminine lead. I think it is just as important for a woman to lead as for a man to lead. And a man is taking his cues from you. So if you're not able to ask for what you want and need in a romantic relationship from a man, you will never find a man on this planet. You can search far and wide who will read your mind and be able to give you everything you're looking for, unless you're willing to ask for it.
That's amazing. I love that, to ask you for it. Are women more, or is it a lack of understanding from a woman's point of view about men, that they always want the man to lead or the man to do the pursuing? That is it seen in a different type of light if a woman is interested in a man, like, hey, I want to talk to that guy. I like the way he looks. I like the way, he carries himself. is that perceived as a little too aggressive? You know, there's some men that don't like it. Me personally, I'm fine with it. That takes the pressure off of me. Are we seeing that women are not getting to know what a man wants? If my I was all over the place there, but do you
So,
get the
so let
gist?
me
Yeah,
let me explain a little further about what I mean, William, and I think it'll
sure.
clarify. So the way a woman takes the feminine lead is by letting a man know what she wants and then putting the ball in his court.
Mm,
So you get to lead, but what we do is we tell you what you want, what we want, and then we set you up to win. So the way we would do that is, let's just say that we're texting, right? And we've been texting for a few days, and I want to get on a Zoom call or a phone call with you so that we can take this to the next level. I like you. I like, the texting that's going back and forth, but you're not initiating or moving this forward. And what I really want and what I like as a woman is, before I go on a date with a man, I feel like it's important to hear the sound of your voice or even get you on a Zoom call. So what a woman who's going through my program would do is, she would say to a man, I bet if you asked me to hop on a phone call or a Zoom call, I would be open to that.
mm.
So I'm letting you know that if you take the initiative, I'm planting that seed in a very feminine way, and I'm inviting you to step forward and ask me to get on a Zoom call or ask me for my phone number, and I'm setting you up to win. Because a lot of times, it's not that a guy doesn't want to do those things, but he's afraid of rejection. Or maybe he's asked a woman for her phone number in the past and she slammed him, right?
Mm.
She was not kind. She, was like, well, I want to, it's too soon for that, or I don't give out my number. And so now it's not that he can't initiate or won't, but he doesn't know your boundaries and your expectations, and you need to communicate that. But what you wouldn't say is, hey, let's get on a Zoom call, or why don't we go out for coffee? That's what you want the man to do, but you need to get him to invite you to do those things, and you need to communicate that you're ready to take that next step so he feels safe asking you. Now, some women listening to this are going to be like, what the heck? I mean, where are all the guys who just initiate? Well, a lot of those guys have been slammed by angry women who were passive aggressive, and now they're gun shy because what's right for one woman isn't right for another woman.
Yeah.
And you need to let a guy know in a feminine way what's right for you.
No, perfectly said. And one of the things for us guys is that don't be afraid to be rejected, because like I said, it might not work for her, but it might work for someone else by being a little aggressive, asking her out, or like you said, a phone call. Now, taking the other side, if a woman says that she is interested, but says to the man, "Oh, contact me through Instagram," it seems like now that's like the biggest dating app in the world. How do we respond to that? Because I don't want to contact someone through Instagram. I want the phone number, or like you said, hey, let's do a Zoom call. If it's too early for a Zoom call, okay, so let's initiate maybe a couple of texts here and there, a phone call, then we elevate to a Zoom call. After that, then we meet in person. But if
So
somebody,
let me
yeah, go
let
ahead.
me ask, why wouldn't you want to get on Instagram?
To me, because I want to, if I, for me as a person, as a man, I've been contacted by women, but when I get contacted by women, it's usually they're in a sexy pose, or it's someone else posing as a woman. So for
Oh,
me, it's more of a combination of gaslighting, ghosting,
got it.
whatever you want to call. So for me, I'd rather not even do the Instagram thing. I don't mind promoting my podcast on it, but meeting someone there, for me, I know we differ on online dating, but I want to meet someone organically. Let me meet them in person. okay, you don't want to give me your phone number, or you don't want to talk on the phone, it's too soon, we could text. And then just go up from there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think in the same way, William, you would say, I've found a lot of, that there are a lot of scammers on Instagram, and I would actually prefer to communicate over text. Now, the other thing is you can get, and these women can get, a Google Voice number. So you don't have to give out your real number. It will forward phone calls and text messages to your actual phone. So, you can even say, look, if you're not comfortable giving me your phone number, your actual number, you can get a Google Voice number that will forward my messages, forward messages to your phone. So you don't give out your actual number. But I don't like I don't like Instagram, because what I found are scammers and catfishers. So you just need to communicate that. I think sometimes there's a lack of communication, of thoroughness and explanation of why we want something. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of times guys will ask women for a picture. Well, you met me online. You saw my pictures. What are you asking me for a personal photo for? I mean, where my brain goes is not good. So, I'm not, if you're going to ask a woman for a personal photo, you need to tell me what you're going to be doing with that personal photo, or why the photos online aren't enough. Now, some guy may say, look, I have invested a couple of months in getting to know a woman who turned out not to look like the pictures that she sent. And the reason I'm asking you for a photo is to know that this is what you look like now, right? And not 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Or 20 pounds ago, right? So
getting to the point, I love that.
Or
Yeah.
you may say, I can understand you would be hesitant to send a photo. Why don't we jump on Zoom? That way you can see that I look like my photos, you look like your photos, and we're good to go.
Right, we
Right?
could see each other live, basically, or even, and I love the
Yes.
idea about getting a Google number, because that's a great idea. Because if a woman doesn't feel comfortable giving out their number because of, you just met this guy, you don't know him that well, okay, perfect. I think that's a great idea, because you're not going to know the Google number is just attached to your phone, and like I said, it could advance your messages. I also like the what you said about, why do you need a personal picture? Because usually in Instagram, you got 10, 15 pictures of all types of occasions there.
Hundreds of
And right, and I get what you're saying. Yeah, and I get what you're saying. So Lisa, and we're talking with Lisa Shield. Taking the feminine lead can help you attract the right man. I love this topic. So Lisa, for a boss babe or an independent woman, what are some steps? And even though you mentioned it before about just giving a man a hint of, hey, you could call me, you could attract me. I mean, I'm attracted to you, but this is the way you can communicate with me. Are there 1 or 2 steps to get off that boss babe pedestal, and let that man know that, hey, I might be a boss babe, but at home and after work, I'm feminine. Does that make sense?
Well,
It's kind of, I know it was like 8 questions in one.
it's okay. It's very, very difficult for us to see ourselves objectively.
Yeah.
It really is. And one of the things that's important, I believe, is to work with somebody who really can help you start to become aware of these behaviors. Like, I'm an incredibly strong person. There's no question about it. Like, I'm strong. I own my own business. I'm a success. This is the 3rd career I've had. And my husband knows that I, have traveled the world. I speak 3 languages fluently. I mean, I'm all that. But I couldn't see my own masculine traits.
Mm.
I couldn't see how I was turning men off. And unfortunately, women don't want to hear this. We really don't. And I'm sorry, this is the way it is. Take it or leave it, like it or not. What I'm about to say is true. Men do not have to be one way at work and another way in a relationship. They can be masculine across the board. Women need to play different roles. We need to play a very masculine role at work because that's what's required of us. Work is a very, uses all of those masculine traits. It doesn't mean that being more feminine and learning how to communicate better with your male colleagues won't help.
Right.
Most of the women who work with me will say, Lisa, this is not just helping me in my love life. It is helping me with men across the board, because men will always respond better to you, even if you're their boss. If you just tweak the way you ask them to do something,
Right.
and you show some respect. You don't talk down to your male, colleagues. You speak to them with a certain level of respect, because there is always going to be, in no matter what, a different dynamic between a man and a woman than there is between a man and another man, or a woman and another woman. So the more you can be aware of how you're talking to men, period, it's going to make a huge difference. What is so beautiful about working with me, William, is that the way I teach this to the women who work with me, they don't have to no longer be the boss babe. They don't have to let that persona go. What I show them is so empowering, right? Because the boss babe attitude has never it's never worked.
Right.
It's never really gotten them what they wanted. What they want is for men to really admire and respect them. And when they're treating men like they're the boss babe, doesn't work. And then they sit back and they're like, this didn't feel good for me either.
Right.
So now what I show them is real power, feminine power, which is infinitely more powerful than trying to be a boss babe. And in fact, it's not just more empowering, it's more fun, because they start to get the results they've been longing for. They start getting the rapport they've always wanted with men, and they're actually more empowered and more in control.
My God, that was so well said. That at least, because in certain situations, most men don't want to date a masculine woman. It's like dating themselves. They don't want to do that. They're already struggling as it is with their boss or their career or their business. And they want someone, like you say, hey, have that feminine lead, take the feminine lead, just, hey, you know what? As a man, hey, I'm right here for you. Anytime you need me, I'm here for you. I love that. First of all, Lisa, I want to thank you so much for being on People on
William,
Dating.
can I say one last thing?
Sure, of course,
before we end? I am not talking about letting men walk all over you.
No, definitely not. I agree there. No.
But I really want to make this clear to women who are listening. I wouldn't put up with any crap from men. I will not be talked down to. I am not subjugating myself. I do not teach my women how to do that. We have very strong and clear boundaries, but my method is based on respect, mutual respect, and compassion for both sexes, and a way of bringing out the best in one another. But if a man is not respecting you, if he is crossing your boundaries, if he's making promises that he doesn't follow through on, I am not for 1 second suggesting that any woman put up with that. I'm just saying that you have to let a man know what your boundaries are without shaming him, without embarrassing him, without making him feel small or sounding like a mother or a teacher. There is a way to do that and to communicate those things to a man respectfully and in a way that he will go, wow, she's right. And if it's a great guy, he's going to step up because he's going to say, you know, this is the kind of woman I'm looking for. And she handled that so beautifully. She is so kind. She understands how to talk to a man. And this is where great relationships happen. So I just wanted to clarify that.
No, definitely. I love that ending. And before I let you go, talk more about your podcast and tell us about your website so people can contact you and learn more about you.
Thanks, William. Thanks for giving me the chance to do that. So everyone can find me by going to lisashield.com. I have a beautiful website that tells you a lot about me, how I became a coach, and also, you know, what we do and how we can help you. Please go to my success stories page. And also, all of my podcast episodes are there, right there on the website. We have a tab for that as well. And you can also click the button that is all over the website, and it will take you to either my new 8-minute virtual sales letter, or it will take you to my 45-minute free presentation. Please watch one or both of those. And if you like what you hear, listen to some podcasts, watch some of those success stories, and hop on a call with one of my team members who will help you see how my 12-week emotionally naked dating course can help you find what we call the guardian of your soul.
No, sounds good. And ladies and gentlemen, I was on Lisa's podcast a few days ago. I had a great time. Lisa let me somewhat co-host, but I had a great time talking to Lisa and her audience. I think, Lisa, first of all, I wanted to say you're a great host, and I love I love your show. And again, thank you so much for being on People on Dating. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, William. Let's do it again.
Yeah, definitely. Bye-bye.